Okay, so and we had come about a very important term, law in VLSI called as Moore's law. Okay, and till now, all this advancement in VLSI had been following this law. Okay, so the rapid progress that is happening in VLSI in the area of chip manufacturing, they are still trying to follow Moore's law in future also. Okay, although it becomes more and more difficult with time, but they do not want to break this trend. Okay, so next comes about different layers of abstraction. Okay, okay. So look at this diagram. Okay, it is layers of abstraction means the kind of knowledge that we can gather at each of these layers. Okay, so let's start. Let's say from the device. Okay, the device that you are aware of till now is the FET. Okay, MOSFET. So that is a metal oxide semiconductor field effect transistor. Okay, so a transistor is there sitting right at the bottom. Okay, and we know that it consists of source, gate, and drain terminals, and we have some n plus regions here, and it forms n channel between source and drain, and it becomes a transistor. Okay, let's say this is a transistor. So we call the transistor as a device. Okay, in VLSI. Okay, so and all these big complex things would be formed with the help of some devices, some components. Okay, and the main component that we follow, that we use in VLSI is a MOSFET. Okay, at the very bottom we have our device, and by using several devices we can construct a circuit. Okay, for example, this is a inverter circuit. Okay, and we can and this circuit uses this PMOS. Okay, and this at the bottom side, in the bottom part, we have an MOSFET. Okay, so a circuit would be a small, okay, small in size, that will consist of a few number of devices or a few number of transistors. Okay, it may be a PMOS or NMOS. We know that there are two kinds of MOSFETs that we use, PMOSFET or NMOSFET. Okay. And also we have different types of MOSFETs, like we have enhancement mode MOSFET, we have depletion mode MOSFET. Those are the things. Okay, but mainly um, because P MOSFET carries holes inside them, and N MOSFET carries free electrons as current carriers, charge carriers inside them. Okay, so basically you will find that a circuit will consist of two types of transistors, P MOSFET or N MOSFET. Okay, and circuit will be a small in size. Okay, that will consist of a few number of devices. So basically the thing is that we can construct a circuit by using some devices. Okay, so basically we are moving from less complex to more complex things. Okay, now the next layer comes as gate. Okay, there would be gates like NAND gates, OR gates, AND gates, NOR gate, XOR gates. Okay, and some complex gates, AOI, OAI, that is OR and invert gates. So there are several kinds of gates. Okay, and these gates can be formed by combining different circuits. Okay, a circuit can be formed by combining different devices, and a gate can be formed by combining different circuits. Okay, so circuit will become somewhat bigger in size as compared to, sorry, a gate will become somewhat bigger in size as compared to a circuit, right? Okay, so and when we form some gates, then we can use those gates again repetitively, combining in proper fashion to construct different modules. Okay, for example, we can construct adders, we can construct subtractors, multipliers, dividers. Okay, we can construct max, multiply, accumulate. There is a module called mac that performs multiplication and accumulation. So, so to perform some these specific tasks, we need those specific modules. Okay, and these specific modules can be constructed by combining different types of gates in a proper manner. Okay, so the thing is, a module will consist of some number of gates. Okay, now we have different kinds of modules. Okay, and to make a whole system out of it that performs a kind of function, okay, that is the system, the topmost layer, we will need several such modules. Okay, adders, dividers. With mouse it is very difficult to write. Okay, I will use the slate from next class. Today I forgot to bring the stylus pen. Okay, now to make a whole system out of it, we will need different kinds of modules. Okay, so a system will consist of different types of modules connected in proper fashion. Okay, that system will be consisting of several types of modules, okay, that will perform a specific function task. Okay, that is there in the specification sheet. Okay, and when you look at the system, it will look very complex. It will contain thousands of such modules. Okay, right. So the thing is, as we move from bottom to top, the complexity of the circuit increases. Okay, okay, and as you move from top to down, the complexity decreases. Okay, and each of these things are uh, in themselves some area of research. Okay, some area, independent area for designing. Okay, you will find some engineers working in only device domain. You will find some engineers and scientists, researchers working in this category. Okay, and you will find some engineers working only in this domain or this domain. Okay, because each of these domains is large, is huge. Okay. So this is the thing. So this gives a rough idea about what are the different layers of abstraction in VLSI. Okay, right, because uh, whatever you see in the form of a system or module or gate, ultimately you should know that each of these things, when you break it down and go to the bottom, you'll find a device sitting there and working. Okay, so okay, and then obviously device will be governed by device equations, and then at the circuit level we will have the circuit equations. Okay, and usually this for this part we use SDL languages such as Verilog and VHDL. Okay, so we code the circuit in terms of in using Verilog language, and then we perform the verification and synthesis. for designing these bigger uh, upper layers of abstraction. Okay. Okay, so this shows a simple VLSI design, flow, a simplified VLSI design flow. Okay, so there are basically two approaches to design VLSI chip, okay, or VLSI circuit. We have top-down or bottom-up approach. Okay, so some designs are being fabricated, designed using top-down approach. Some are being designed using bottom-up approach, and many of them are being designed by a combination of top-down and bottom-up approach. Okay, so basically, it's a combination of some in some parts top-down and in some parts bottom-up approach. Okay, so it is like you can just if I give a certain example, suppose you have to design a car. Let's say, okay, I'm giving one example. Let's say the task is to design a car. Okay, so this is a car. You think of it as a car. Okay, now what will you do? How will this design be done when it is being designed by using only top-down approach? Okay, so top-down approach means you start from the top level and go towards the smaller level. Okay, you start from the overall picture and go towards the smaller components. Okay, so first you will see what is the overall size of the car, what is the overall shape of the car. Okay, then uh, accordingly you will go inside and you will find that this overall car consists of different components, and then you will try to fit those components according to the overall size and the overall shape that you have already with taken care of, that you have already noted down with you. And then those components may be consisting of some sub components. Okay, so basically we are moving from bigger size to the smaller components, bigger components to the smaller components, going from top to bottom. Okay, whereas in bottom up approach, okay, this is reverse of this top down approach. Okay, we know that the car will consist of several components. Okay, so it will first tell you about that. First let us bother about the smaller components. Okay, so whatever smaller components are present in the design uh, uh, are needed for manufacturing car. Okay, first let us design those smaller components. Okay, and then we will connect those components, okay, in a proper fashion to form a car. And when you connect those components, it will take a shape. The car will automatically take a shape like that. Okay, so when you see that whether this approach or this approach, when you apply either of these approaches to design a car explicitly, you will naturally feel that it becomes a bit difficult at some stage. Okay, so you will have to combine this approach with this approach to design the car in a proper smooth manner. Okay, and that is what being done in VLSI industry also. Okay, so all of these systems will have certain specifications. Okay, and accordingly the system needs to be designed. Okay, so there are some specifications like what area. Some specifications might be area, that how much area it should consume, then power, how much power it should dissipate, then delay, that at what speed it should operate at least. Okay, and there would be some other specifications. Okay, so you'll have to follow those specifications. Okay, then we go for the architectural design. Okay, we form the architecture of the whole system, and the architecture will consist of different blocks. Okay, the architectural is a kind of top, design. Okay, that will consist of different smaller blocks connected properly. Okay, and then we do the verification, the functional verification of this architectural design. Okay, look at this verification part. This is essential because you will see that this verification is occurring here, is here, is here, is here. Okay, so in this simplified VLSI design flow, verification is being done 1, 2, 3, 4 times, and each of these verifications are different in nature. Okay. So verification means to verify something. You have designed some circuit, and after designing you need to verify that circuit, whether that circuit is functioning properly or not. Suppose you have designed AND gate, let's say, for example. Now you know the truth table of an AND gate. Okay, so after designing that AND gate, you would like to know that whether this AND gate is performing the function according to the truth table of AND gate or not. So you will need to verify that circuit. Okay, you will give some input signals and it will produce some output signals, and then you will observe that output signal accordingly, and you will match with the truth table that whether that particular circuit is working properly or not. Okay, so this is called verification, and we will see some more about it later. Okay, and then after architectural design we come to the logic design. Okay, and then logic verification, that what logic it is performing. Okay, and then after logic design we come to the circuit part. Remember, the circuit consists of several devices. Okay, so after circuit design we come to the circuit verification. Okay, and after circuit verification, after knowing that the circuit is working properly or not, if it's working fine, then we will move to the next stage. Else we will go back to this stage, and then again we will do the modification in the circuit, and then again we will perform the circuit verification part. Okay, and then after circuit verification we move to the physical design part. Okay. The physical design means basically the layout of transistors, the devices. So it is again matchable to the previous layers of abstraction. Look at here, this physical design stage, this circuit design stage, layout design stage, architecture. So there was device. That device is related to the layout, because there is a layout for every device. Okay, you will get familiar to these terms. And then above device we had circuit, so there is circuit design. Above circuit we had gates, modules, so we have logic design here. And above all we had the system, so we have system part here. Okay, so at logic level we have gate level representations. At circuit we have circuit level representation. Okay, and what are these we had just seen in the previous slide. Okay, and at the device level we have layout representation. Okay, because we know that, for example, an NMOSFET. Okay, the NMOSFET consists of source, drain, and gate. Okay, if we go beyond this, if you go below this, we would like to ask, okay, we have a device, fine, but again it consists of certain layers. It consists of gate, drain, and source. Okay, so how this transistor is fabricated, Obviously it is fabricated with the help of silicon. Okay, silicon material. Okay, we do some doping and those other kinds of things. So what is the actual size, what is the actual layout of those diffusion layers? Okay, the gate area, the source and drain area, that actual physical geometrical size shows about the layout of that design, the layout of the device. Okay, and we will also do some experiments regarding these layouts. We will see in the lab at how to construct. Okay, uh, this is not, you are not having lab now. Students, do you have a lab for VLSI?
No, sir.
Okay, 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 no issue, no issue. Okay, so this is a simplified VLSI design flow in this sense. Okay. Students, if you follow, if you get any doubt, if you have any doubt, you can ask at any time. Okay. Now, this is the Y chart. Okay. Okay. This is also called as Gansky. Okay, because it was invented by a person called named D. Gansky. So, if I remember the spelling, Gazki something Gansky. Okay. Popularly also known as Y chart because of this shape. This looks like a Y letter in English alphabet. Okay. So this Y chart illustrates simplified design flow for most logic chips using design activities on three different domains. Okay, it has three different domains which resembles the letter Y. What are those different domains? The domains are structural, behavioral, and geometrical. Okay. Now, the geometrical layout domain. This term geometry itself reveals that okay, it will be something about the geometrical shape of the things. Okay, so it is actually about the geometry of the things. Okay, it will tell you about the geometry of the chip at different levels, starting from top to bottom or bottom to top. Okay, so it tells about the actual suppose placement of different modules on the chip. Suppose if this is the chip area, okay, and it will consist of different different submodules. Okay, then we we should place each of these components in such a manner that we use the area of the chip in the most efficient manner. Okay, right, because for placing these modules there may be several techniques. For example, in a classroom, so the classroom that you sit in, it it has got benches. Okay, now there may be several methods to place those benches inside the classroom so that maximum number of benches can be adjusted inside the classroom, right? Okay, so similarly similarly, to place these smaller components on the chip area so that the area is utilized in the most efficient manner. Okay, so this may be done, this looks like the some kind of shape, some kind of geometry adjustment. Okay, all of these things are represented visually. Okay, so this kind of things will come under geometrical layout domain. Okay, then we have structural domain. Okay, this structural domain will tell us about the actual structure of the circuit. That we know that the circuit will consist of some components, but what components? Okay, we know that a building is made up of walls, right? A wall is made up of some is made by using some materials, but what materials? It is made with the help of bricks, cement, then steel rods, and other components. So, what are those smaller components in, that are constructing actually the bigger component? Okay, what is the actual structure? That information is there on this domain. Okay, and then we have a behavioral domain here that tells us about the behavior part of the system. Okay, basically it's algorithmic in nature. Okay, so it tells us that how does that thing uh, how can the system be described. Okay, so mainly in terms of if and else conditions. Okay, suppose if some condition, then under this condition some function should be performed. Okay, else if the next condition, some other function should be performed, like that. Okay, so this using this these statements, again we try to describe the system using these if else statements. Okay, again now, for example, this if else statement can also be described, can also be used to describe anything else. Suppose a human being. Okay, if I want to describe hello, hello, yes, the power, there's a power cut in the college, and just I have connected to a different network. Okay, so we can describe human nature also by using if else statements. Suppose if uh, something happens to a human being, he will react in a certain manner. Okay, else if under certain other condition, he will behave in certain other manner. Okay, so likewise we can have a list of those conditions, different conditions. Under those, that particular human being will behave differently. Similarly, we can describe the functioning of the chip also using if else statements. Okay, so look at here that at the most top level we have algorithm. Okay, the algorithm will describe the functioning using different blocks. Basically it's actually maybe in the form of a flowchart or maybe in the form of text. Okay, then at the algorithm level, in the structural domain we have the processor, the system part. Okay, so as we move from top to bottom, again it's like the system level, it's like the device level as we move from up to down in this y chart. Okay, so similarly at the geometrical layout domain, analogous to processor, we have the whole chip floor plan. Okay, so if this is the chip, then what are the different modules and how are they placed on this chip area? Okay, this is called chip floor plan. Then we move one more step towards inside, and in the behavioral domain we have finite state machine. Okay, these are the main controlling parts, okay, which actually have the circuit which controls the operation of different circuits. Okay, then analogous to this, parallel to this, we have in structural domain the register ALU. ALU is for arithmetic logic unit. Registers are there for storing data. Okay, and for this we have module placement. Okay, because a chip is a large thing. Inside this we have different modules, and the module also consists of some sub modules. Okay, so how this module should be placed on the chip, and then inside those modules how the sub modules should be placed, where they should be placed. Okay, to optimize the area. And then this is module description in behavioral domain. Okay, and in a structural, this comes to out to be a leaf cell. Okay, leaf cell here may be referring to some sort of logic circuits. Okay, logic circuits that consist of gates. Okay, and then accordingly we have cell placement in the geometrical layout domain. Okay, and then bottommost at the bottom part we describe in the behavioral domain all these things gets converted into some sort of boolean equation. Okay, and then we reach to the bottom part in the structural domain that consists of transistor. Okay, and then in the geometrical part parallel to this is the mask which is used to fabricate those chips. Okay, so this we have followed this spiral this way, although this becomes a bit confusing here, but it will make sense if you go from top to bottom for each of these domains. Let's say for example geometrical layout domain, there is a chip, bigger thing, that contains different modules. Okay, so we have to worry about chip floor plan. Then we go one step down, we worry about the modules. We know that the different module consist of different number of cells. Then we will have to worry about the cell placement, and each of these cell can be fabricated with the help of some mask. Then we will have to worry about the mask. The mask also contains some geometrical shape. With the help of that geometrical shape is transferred on the top of silicon. Okay, so this is making some sense. Okay. Now in the structural domain we have a processor that consists of different registers, ALUs and registers. Okay, and they will in turn consist of different logic cells or leaf cell. Then each of these leaf cell will consist of different number of transistors. So like that we are moving from processor towards transistor in the structural domain, from bigger to smaller. Okay, 9 to 950, 950 to 1040. Okay, so till 1040 we have time. Okay, now in the behavioral domain we have on the top algorithm. Okay, then we have one step down this finite state machine. Then there's a description for module, and then there are equations for the circuit. A module consists of different circuits. The circuits are described with the help of Boolean equations. Okay, so as we move from top to bottom, it again define that thing. What thing? That we had seen just 2 slides back, that different layers of abstraction. Okay. So what this Y chart illustrates that, is that it combines all the information in the form of a chart, and which shows the information about structural, behavioral, and geometrical domain parallelly. So it becomes easier to relate those things. Okay. So development of hardware is pursued within 3 domains. Okay. Along these areas are the abstraction levels that describe the degree of abstraction. The outer shells are generalizations, and the inner ones are the refinements of the same subject. Okay, we have seen this thing. That the outer ones are the more general things, and as we go down, we become more specific. Okay. Then next slide is about design hierarchy. Okay, any doubts till now, students? I hope you are listening. May I ask? Ritik Kumar Padhi, are you here? Ritik Kumar Padhi,
Yes, sir.
are you listening?
Yes, sir.
Are you getting these things?
Yes, sir.
Look, students, you may not get all of these things right now, but it will become evident. It will become understandable with time. Okay. Right now, you may be understanding some portion of it, maybe 20, 30, 40, 50%. It doesn't matter. At least you pay some attention here. Okay. So let us move to the next slide about design hierarchy. Okay. The concept here is about divide and conquer. Okay. The same concept that Britishers used to rule India during their time. Okay. The same thing, the same concept is also used here in making a complex circuit, in making the process of designing a complex circuit. Okay. So what do is we uh, divide a module into submodules, and then repeating this operation on the submodules until the complexity of the smaller parts becomes manageable. Okay, so we continue to break down the circuit into smaller parts. Okay, suppose this is a 4-bit adder. This is 4-bit adder circuit. Okay. Okay, this is a 4-bit adder. Now, what have they done here? This figure shows that each of these, look, the block for 4-bit adder can be divided into 4 sub blocks. Okay, each of these block is one, sorry, 1-bit adder. Adder. This is also 1-bit 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 adder. Okay. So first step is to divide this 4-bit adder into 4 modules of 1-bit adder each. Okay. Now we know that a 1-bit adder consists of sum and carry part. This you might have seen. Okay. If you know about the equation of adder circuit, it consists of an equation for sum part and carry part. Okay, and this is applicable for all of these 1-bit adder. Okay, so it is still dividing this 1-bit adder into, again, in terms of carry and sum, carry and sum. Okay, now we also know that we have got some equation for each of these sum and carry part, that will consist of some, suppose in the case of carry it will consist of one and one or gate, and gate and or gate, and gate or gate, and gate or gate for each of those carry. Similarly, for the case of sum, it will consist of XOR gates and OR gates, XOR gates and OR gates, XOR gates and OR gates. Okay. Now this will continue until the divided circuit becomes small enough so that it can be managed properly. Now, working at the level of these AND gates is a bit easy. This can be designed properly by human beings. Okay, quickly. So the design will start here. It will describe, it will design the carry and sum part. Okay. Then this next level will come. Then combining carry and sum, this level will come. Okay. So 1-bit adder will be designed by following this process, right? And since we know from this diagram that we know we want 4 number of such 1-bit adders, so design 1-bit adder and replicate it 4 times. Okay, copy it 3 times so that actually it becomes 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so design 1 and copy it 3 more times. It will total become 4-bit adder when you combine them, interface them properly. Okay, so it becomes easier in this fashion. If we design, it becomes easier, right? So this figure shows decomposition of 4-bit adder, showing the levels of hierarchy. So these are the different levels of hierarchy. Okay, this is one level of hierarchy, this is the second level of hierarchy, this is third level, this is the last level of hierarchy. Okay, and remember this thing, because this, whenever you design a circuit, okay, and you can apply this concept in many of other things also. You may be designing some electrical circuit, okay, which is big enough. So this funda can be applied there also, that you divide the circuit, if the circuit is big and complex, divide the circuit in smaller modules, again those smaller modules into some even smaller modules, like that, until the smallest part becomes manageable, and you start designing from that smallest part and combine those bigger parts to get the final circuit. Okay. Good morning. Like this we can yeah, your lab going on. So I'm taking a glass. Mm, lab had started. Can you come after 10 minutes, Paritosh? Huh? The class will end at 10. If you can sit for 5 minutes. Okay, sit. Okay. Okay. So this is the design hierarchy. Okay, like this. Look, similarly, this shows the structural hierarchy of the 16-bit adder. So similarly, you can guess that, okay, a 16-bit adder can be decomposed into 4 blocks of 4-bit adder each, a 4-bit adder with Manchester carry. So right now you don't bother about these terms, Manchester carry and what are these things, right? So the concept is this: divide a 16-bit adder into 4 sub blocks. Each of block is a 4-bit adder. Okay, and for a 4-bit adder, we had just seen an example. So that design is there. If the design is there, Okay, replicate it 3 more times, combine it properly, and it will become a 16-bit error. Okay. Okay, so likewise, like this it becomes easier. Okay. Okay, now this is showing again the decomposition of 4-bit adder in the physical geometrical domain. Earlier it was showing the structural part. Now it's showing the geometrical part. Look at here. This is adder number 0, adder 1, add 2, add 3. So total, it's a 4-bit adder. Four-bit adder. Okay, and geometrically it has shown that each of these smaller blocks are the area which is capturing uh, for 1-bit adder circuit. So this block will take 1-bit adder circuit area. This is taking 1-bit adder circuit area. Okay, and they are closed. They are placed very close to each other. Okay, and let's say this is the 0 0 point. This one, starting point 0 0. Okay, and this is, let's say this one is 100. Okay, and this is also 100. So this axis, this point will be 100 100, this one. Okay, so this is basically a square in shape. Okay, and we know the inputs and outputs into an adder circuit. Okay, this is the first input, let's say A0. This is second input, B0. Okay, this is the carry in, right? And this is the sum out, output sum is coming. And we know that the carry out of this stage should be propagated to the next stage. So this carry out of first stage is propagated to the next stage. Okay, and this is these are the two other inputs, and this is sum out coming from here, and the carry is being propagated to the next stage, like that. So each of these is 100 unit long. It's 100, 200, 300, 400. So this point becomes actually 400 comma 400. Okay, so this 400 comma 400 will give you an indication about the whole area that this particular circuit is consuming. This 400 unit cross comma 400 unit. This 400 can be in micrometer or nanometer, and depends on the technology that is being used. Okay, and this enlarged square is showing some enlarged form of this block, for example. Okay, again this is the starting for this particular individual point, individual block, and 100 cross 100 comma 100 for this one block only. Okay, and this 50 comma 0 gives the location for this carry input pin, and this 0 comma 25 gives the location for this A input pin, and 0 comma 75 gives the location for this B input pin. Similarly, this 50 comma 100 is the location for C out for this particular block, and this is the location for this sum. Okay, so once we design this thing, we know that we need 4 number of these things. So we copy this thing and we place these blocks close to each other, and we know that the output of one stage is going entering into the next stage input. So these can be placed very close to each other. They can be placed very close to each other likewise. Okay, so this is the geometrical part. the decomposition of 4-bit adder in the physical geometrical domain. Okay, and in the physical domain, the partitioning a complex system into its various functional blocks will provide a valuable guide for the actual realization of these blocks on the chip. So all these domains, whether it's a physical domain or a geometrical domain or a behavioral domain, all these are interrelated to each other. You can very well, if you have find a problem in the physical domain, you can uh, relate it to the geometrical domain part. Okay. So this physical view describes the external geometry of the adder, the locations of the input and output pins, and the pin location that allows some signals to be transferred from one subblock to the other without external routing. Okay. Now, if we were not sure that this carry out of this first block will go into the carry input of next block, then if that was not the case, then this would not have been placed here. Now, this is placed here to save space, area. Okay, so there's no need of external wire that will connect the carry out of this adder into the carry in of this adder, because this is required here, so it can be placed here just at a point. Okay, so this is the thing. Okay, then okay, we will see this thing later on. Just look at here. This is the actual 16-bit adder layout, complete layout, the layout that will be used for manufacturing. So this is something which looks when it goes for manufacturing, fabricating. Okay, so this is for 16-bit Manchester carry. So this highlighted one block is for 4-bit. This is also for 4-bit. Similarly, for 4-bit here for 4-bit. So 4 plus 4 plus 4 plus 4 becomes 16-bit. So this is the structure layout for 4-bit, and in this 4-bit you can find some pattern here. Look at here, this pattern, this pattern, this pattern. They are all for 1-bit. So this one small strip is for 1-bit adder. Okay, and they are repeatable. Look, this block. Okay, this is similar to this block. Okay, this is again similar, 1-bit, 1-bit, 1-bit. And when you zoom in and look at this layout with more attention, you'll find that there are several things which are decomposed and then connected properly. Okay. This is just for an example to show that this is the actual layout of a 16-bit Manchester adder, which can be sent for fabrication. Okay, and the thing is that this divide and conquer approach is being used here also. So that is a very useful thing that can be used for designing a complex circuit. Okay, so we will stop here for today's class, and then we'll resume here in the next class. Okay, you can ask if you have any doubts, you can ask. Okay, students. थोड़ा क्लास चल रहा है सर, थोड़ा 5 मिनट क्लास, आप अपना काम कीजिए तब तक। बैठिए बैठिए, आप बैठिए सर। कुछ लाए नोटिस वगैरह कुछ है, कुछ प्रिंट आउट निकालना है तो बताइए, निकाल लेते हैं।
कितना कॉपी करेंगे सर पेपर?
2 कॉपी करेंगे।
अच्छा, अटेंडेंस के लिए क्या ज्वाइन करना पड़ेगा या?
वो बताता हूँ, थोड़ा मैं क्लास को वो कर लेता हूँ, खत्म कर लेता हूँ। Okay students, if you have any doubt you can ask, right? And then we will start in the next class. Okay, and for today, Ravi, Karthik, any issue, tell me. Ravi, Karthik raised a hand. Okay, fine. I hope you are listening. You students are getting something here, and with time you will understand more. Okay, so you can give your attendance in the chat box. Just write your roll number and name and send it in the chat box. I will note it down for attendance. Okay, so students, give your attendance in the chat box. Write your roll number and name.
Excuse me, sir. Hello, sir.
Yes.
Sir, can you please send us the notes, please?
Okay, I have the slides. I will share the slides. Okay.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
And I have also shared the previous year recorded lectures on YouTube, so you can also refer to those. Okay, I have shared a link, I think.
Okay, sir.
And these lectures I will also record and share on YouTube. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay. In some days I will share all these things. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Mm.